We really need to talk about Nick Cannon because his obsession with having kids with multiple women is getting out of control.
And I believe I come from a tribal mentality, man. You should have as many kids as you can take care of.
And fuck it, but obviously Raw is like, you know, the reason why I got all these damn kids. So it's
Now,
like,
okay, I want to ask you about Raw.
Yes.
Okay, how do you decide when to use a condom and when not to?
I don't have sex with anyone that
you
I don't
have to
think
feel like you
that I need to be protected.
But what if
with.
a girl's like, we need a condom?
Then then we need to step back and have a different kind of conversation.
because why?
Because like, now again, I've been doing this a long time.
Believe that.
It's gonna be a good-looking baby, that's for sure.
Well, thank you. But that was the thing, honestly, and I joke about this on stage as well, but it's like, I just wanted to have that experience. I always wanted more than just, you know, a couple of kids. I always wanted 5 kids. I always thought I would have 5 kids
That's
by the
really
time I
cool.
was 40.
Bro, you grew up in Southern California around Hispanics.
Nick is currently expecting his 12th child, and he also revealed that he hasn't ruled out having more kids in the future.
How are you present for all of this stuff? How can you possibly be there enough for everybody?
I got a time machine.
And there are all kinds of bizarre theories floating around out there about Nick Cannon, which will most definitely shock you.
But that's why I said the stork is on the way. We'll see how it trickles down.
You've probably noticed by now that Nick Cannon has become a running joke on social media because it feels like he's having a new baby every few weeks. Even Nick himself recently shared this meme on Instagram about his growing family tree with the message, National Geographic determined what Americans will look like in 2050, and it's beautiful. Now we gotta admit, all these Nick Cannon memes are pretty hilarious, but we shouldn't overlook the main issue here. Being a father doesn't mean just supporting the kids financially, but also being consistently present in their lives, physically, mentally, and emotionally. There is simply no way any man can do this for 12 kids, even if they all live in the same home. And then to think in Nick's case, the kids live in 6 different households. Let's first look at Nick's messy family tree before we go into all the disturbing reasons he keeps having kids, while also paying attention to the names of his kids. Nick had his first 2 children, twins Monroe and Moroccan, with ex-wife Mariah Carey in 2011. Nick and Mariah announced their separation in August 2014, and a few months later, Nick met former Miss USA Brittany Bell. He went on to have 3 children with Brittany, a son named Golden Saigon, born in 2017, a daughter, Powerful Queen, born in 2020, and another son named Rise Messiah, born in 2022. However, by this point, Nick had already figured out that monogamy is not his thing. So, between his 2nd and 3rd child with Brittany, he fathered 5 more children with 4 different women. In June 2021, Nick welcomed twins Zion Mixolydian and Zillion Air with DJ and radio personality Abby De La Rosa. But Abby wasn't the only woman pregnant with Nick's child at the time. Less than 2 weeks after Abby gave birth to Zion and Zillion, IG model Alyssa Scott also welcomed Nick's child, a baby boy named Zen. Sadly, Zen passed away in December 2021 from a rare brain tumor at just 5 months old. And this happened shortly after Nick announced he would start a celibacy challenge at the recommendation of his therapist.
Well, I'm actually looking to better myself. Last week I got a chance to talk to, Deepak Chopra about it. This week I'm gonna be talking to some therapists, and it's really just to be at one, to be aligned. I'm a real spiritual person, and everyone from my pastor to my therapist said, Nick, slow down. And because I want to focus on the show and be the best that I could possibly be, I'm kind of getting rid of, unnecessary frequencies in my life.
However, Nick only managed to stay celibate for a couple of months, because in June 2022, model Brie Tiesi became Nick's 5th baby mama and welcomed a boy named Legendary Love. But Nick didn't break his celibacy vow with just Brie. He did it with 3 more women at the same time. Just 2 weeks after Nick welcomed a son with Brie, model Lanisha Cole gave birth to Nick's 9th child, a daughter named Onyx Ice Cole. Then on September 22nd, 2022, 9 days after Lanisha gave birth to Onyx, Brittany Bell welcomed her 3rd child with Nick, son Rise Messiah. And then on November 11th, Nick's 11th child and his 3rd with Abby De La Rosa was born, a daughter named named Beautiful Zeppelin. So in 2022 alone, Nick welcomed 4 children with 4 different women. But he's not done yet for the year. Just 5 days after Nick welcomed his 11th child, Alyssa Scott announced she's pregnant with Nick again, and the baby is due in December. And that's 12 children with 6 different women in total. Now, at this point, fans are saying there's nothing funny anymore about Nick having all these kids, and they're calling him out and his baby mamas for being selfish and irresponsible. One Twitter user said, when Nick Cannon was at 4, 5, 7 kids, it raised eyebrows, or damn, that's a lot of kids. At this point, it's just sad and selfish. I don't care how much money you have, there are only 24 hours in a day. He can never give all those kids the individual attention they deserve. And another person added, I think what Nick Cannon is doing is wild lame. Making babies for sport isn't a flex. He can't marry all their moms, so naturally they're born into single-parent broken homes. So why does Nick keep doing this? What's really behind this obsession with getting multiple women pregnant at the same time? Well, there are a few viral conspiracy theories spreading online about Nick Cannon and his kids, and honestly, each one is more disturbing than the next. Some people have been speculating that Nick has a pregnancy breeding kink and that he's a narcissist control freak who only cares about his needs. Model and actor Luca Sabat tweeted about this back in July, writing, Nick Cannon has to have a breeding kink. There's no other explanation. And another fan said, no, because some men really find claiming a woman or marking their territory attractive. It's a control tactic kink, hence Nick Cannon. A lot of fans have also compared Nick to the character played by John Stamos in an episode of Law & Order SVU, who tricks women into having his children and then gaslights each woman into thinking she's the special one. Now, this may sound crazy to some of you, but wait until you hear what other theories are circulating on the internet about Nick Cannon. Another popular belief is that Nick is desperate to have as many kids as possible because he has an autoimmune disease and will likely need an organ transplant in the future. For over a decade now, Nick has been battling lupus, and he already suffered 1 mild kidney failure.
Saying that and having faced death so many times, and had blood transfusions and chemo and all this stuff, because everybody else, stress comes from what can come. What's tomorrow gonna look like?
So is this the real reason Nick keeps having kids? Well, a lot of people on social media are saying this could explain why Nick keeps getting multiple women pregnant at the same time, and they're speculating Nick is creating his own organ farm. One fan on Twitter said, everyone baffled by Nick Cannon's breeding tendencies, like he isn't obviously just ensuring he has endless stem cells to harvest for his lupus treatment. No shade, very solid planning in my opinion, but let's not act like he's not scheming. There's also a lot of speculation online that Nick may be running some type of weird cult similar to the Quiverful movement. For those of you who don't know, Quiverful is a conservative Christian cult that opposes family planning and believes God is the one who should choose when and how many children are conceived. Those in the Quiverful movement oppose all forms of birth control, and they teach women to be subservient to all of men's needs. A few years back, Glamour magazine ran a story on the Quiverful movement, calling it the world's most women-hating cult, and one former member told Glamour that she was told as a teenager that she must have as many children as she physically can, no matter how dangerous it is. Another woman who managed to escape from Quiverful also recently shared her story with the media and explained how men in this cult treat women and children.
The whole patriarchy thing really ruined my relationship with my husband. My kids were not thriving. They were not doing well at all because there was so much isolation, and we were failing in the homeschooling because we just couldn't keep up with everything. Then they were all fairly miserable.
But is Nick Cannon actually a member of Quiverful? Well, most likely not. But many fans are saying Nick was probably inspired by this doctrine to start his own version of a procreation cult. Even the Daily Mail recently ran a story by journalist Meghan McCain, who accused Nick Cannon and Elon Musk of being creepy cult leaders. McCain also pointed out that Nick and Elon obviously don't have their children's best interests at heart because all studies show that children raised in two-parent households experience less poverty and incarceration and receive a better education. And a lot of fans on social media are now saying the same thing about Nick because this whole narrative about populating the earth is something we've heard many times in the past from actual cult leaders. Any man who's ever set out to populate the world by impregnating hella women turned out to be a crazy cult leader or a religious psycho, one fan said. So yeah, Nick Cannon and Elon Musk are totally normal, nothing to see here. One person commented on the news of Nick Cannon fan welcoming his daughter Beautiful Zeppelin, writing, Nick Cannon building a cult holds true. Beautiful kids with strong cult-esque names. And another fan added, there will be a Netflix documentary on Nick Cannon and this weird reproduction cult he's running. But what do you think about all this? What's the real reason Nick Cannon won't stop having kids? Leave your comments down below and we'll see you in our next video.